is South Park. I'm pretty sure we all know about it, but if somehow you don't, here's a quick overview. South Park was created by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and it's about four fourth grade boys, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny, and their crazy life in the little mountain town of South Park, Colorado. Now, the show has gone through a lot in its 25-year history. Jesus Christ, it's already 25 years old? And in its 25-year history, quality of the show has taken a hit, but the one thing that hasn't is its popularity. Ever since the show premiered in 1997, it seems to be a hit in the pop culture with its profanity and dark surreal humor that satirizes a substantial amount of subject humor. Yes, I saw that off Wikipedia. With the show having a bunch of TV specials, a movie, DVDs, songs, and especially merchandise. There was merchandise everywhere when the show premiered. But one thing I didn't mention yet was licensed video games. Now, South Park games weren't really that good, but in 2014 and 2017 respectively, South Park released two games, The Stick of Truth and The Fractured Butthole, which made a mark on the gaming industry, and I'll be going over them and what makes these games special. Usually I would go over my journey of playing these games, but when these came out, I just watched PewDiePie play them, so there's nothing really special about that. Also, spoiler alert, if you haven't played these games yet, and to be honest, you really should. These are great games, and they are free with PlayStation Plus Extra. Now, before I go over these two games, I want to talk about the licensed video game market. The purpose of the licensed video game market is to make a quick buck off the popularity of TV shows or movies, in which a lot of these games aren't very good, whether it's the graphics, the story, the controls, or all of the above. Now, there are those games that are good, like the Simpsons arcade game, Mickey Speedway USA, the Lego series of games, the Batman series, and the SpongeBob games on PS2. Well, except for Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. That one sucked. Now, the South Park games weren't really that good either. Like I said earlier, they were just made as a cash grab, which Trey Parker and Matt Stone noticed, and in 2009, they bought Obsidian Entertainment to make a new game that was just like an episode of South Park. Parker was a big fan of Obsidian, with them making Fallout New Vegas that year, and he wanted them to make a turnstile RPG. Parker and Stone were heavily involved up until the launch, so that these games were nothing like the others. They would have 2 to 3 hour conversations with the team about 4 days a week during the development of this game, in which this game would deal with a semi-development hell, not fully. Initially, South Park Studios developed the game until Viacom cut their funding because they were wary about video games. So then they would be picked up by THQ in December of 2011. And then just 1 year later, THQ would file for bankruptcy. In which case, they would sell their remaining assets, including the Stick of Truth, which South Park Studios would file an objection, claiming that they didn't have the right to sell their assets. This didn't work, and the game would be sold to Ubisoft. Ubisoft would have Trey and Matt involved, in which case they convinced them to cut and reduce some of the story because the game was just too long, delaying the game to a March 2014 release. But the game would release a month earlier, on February 12th, 2014. Fun fact, a couple of months before release, South Park had made a bunch of episodes based around the video game called the Black Friday Trilogy, with the premise being about the upcoming console release of 2013 with the Xbox One and PS4. Which, to be honest, if the boys had watched E3 2013, they wouldn't have known PS4 had won it.
Won't impose any new restrictions on the use of PS4 gamers. They have the rights to use that copy of the game. They can trade in the game at retail, sell it to another person, lend it to a friend, or keep it forever. PlayStation 4 disc-based games don't need to be connected online to play.
At least it wasn't as bad as when they killed Sega back in 1995.
$2.99.
I was watching this trilogy when it came out, and it's one of my favorite trilogies, with them throwing a bunch of shots at Game of Thrones. Now, without any further ado, here is South Park: The Stick of Truth. The game starts out with you moving to South Park. Your dad, who is an asshole, just like every other dad, kicks you out of the house so you can make new friends. You find Butters on the street, help him with his battle, and he takes you to Koopa Keep, which is Cartman's house. Cartman then gives you the name Douchebag after joining, and then you select between 4 classes. For this one I went with Thief, but Jew is the best one. After that he shows you the Stick of Truth, then the elves come to take it. You basically go through a tutorial, and in the end, the elves take it, because Clyde is a dumbass. Cartman kicks Clyde out of Koopa Keep, remember that. And then he has you go get Token, Tweak, and Craig. After recruiting them, you go to the Bard's house, and you have to deal with his...
With magical songs of enchantment. With magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment. With magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment. With magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment. With magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment. With magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment. With magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment. Magical songs of enchantment.
Then you defeat him and get the Stick of Truth back. Then you go back to your home and go to bed. Then you have to deal with the aliens, who, I kid you not, probe your asshole. The probe ends up getting stuck in your ass, so then you have a means to teleport. Also, you meet Randy on the ship, who helps you get out of the control center, and to be honest, this part will never not be funny to me.
There! I think that... Oh! You've gotta be close! Come on, try again!
Long story short, you free Randy, and then you crash the ship into South Park, releasing green goo that turns everyone to Nazi zombies. Okay, this trope is old. Anyways, it's the next morning, and the Stick of Truth is gone. Cartman thinks the elves stole it, so he has you go recruit the goth kids, in which you get captured by the elves, who take you to Kyle, who is the Elven King. He tells you Cartman is lying and is hiding the Stick of Truth. Kyle tells you to go recruit the goth kids for him. Then you have to choose a side, in which case I chose Cartman's side. Then you'll infiltrate the school and fight Kyle. Or Cartman, depending on what story you choose. After that, you beat him up, and then you find out that Clyde took the Stick of Truth and is using the green goo to make an army of darkness. I should also mention that there are these government guys that are trying to cover up the goo in Zombie. And the way they go by this is amazing, with them saying there'll be a brand new Taco Bell. Keep in mind, this is 2014. But anyways, you go to Clyde's house, but it's too late, so you go home and go to bed. Then you deal with the underpants gnomes, who make you smaller, so you have to go get the magical gnome to turn you back. And I kid you not, you fight on your parents' bed while they're having sex. Now it's the next morning. And the elves and humans have teamed up, but since there's not enough of you, you have to go recruit the girl. In which case you have to go to the abortion clinic and deal with a bunch of Nazi zombies fetuses. Yeah, it sounds super weird out of context. But after this, you go to Canada, which I love how they designed it as an 8-bit RPG. I just love that. Okay, I gotta go over this super quick. This is getting too long. Get the girls on your side, defeat Clyde's army, including a Nazi zombie chef, deal with the government guys who you have known, have Kenny turn on you, fight Kenny, and then defeat a Nazi zombie Kenny. And that is the Stick of Truth. Sort of. I went over the story really fast to talk about the other parts of the game, which are amazing. There are a bunch of side quests that you have, which are great, and they are optional. And there are some that give you summons that help you in battles, like Jesus, City Walk Guy, Mr. Hanky, and Mr. Slave, which his is...
Ooh, this could be kind of fun! Ooh, Jesus Christ.
Moving on, another thing I love is the style. Usually I don't like RPGs, but in this setting, it works perfectly. With the engine being like the Paper Mario series. Also, the buddy commands are a neat addition to this game. The art style is the same as the show, with the world having a 2.5D environment. Another thing I love about this is the jokes and references in this game. The game strikes a perfect balance between dark humor and childish humor, and the timing of the jokes are amazing. and there are countless numbers of references in this game. I love going through the closets of the characters and seeing the number of callbacks. Holy shit. But nothing beats Stan's closet.
I'm never coming out! I'm never coming out!
Overall, this game is amazing, and really, it feels like an episode of South Park. The story is amazing, the gameplay is good, and I think the RPG style works in the setting, and the jokes hit with the audience. And I'm not the only one. The reception of this game was off the charts, the sales doing good, and it ended up winning Best RPG at the 2014 Game Awards. And in 2015, Ubisoft would announce the sequel, The Fractured Butthole. This time using the Coon and Friend characters for a 2017 release. There wasn't much of a delay on this one, unlike the last game. There were changes made to the game from the last one, like a grid-style RPG, crafting, and artifacts. Other than that, everything else is mostly the same. Well, starting things off, yeah, this is a thing this time. Well then, I've been my whole life on easy mode, why change now? Side note, just like the Stick of Truth, there was an episode of South Park to correspond with the release of the game, which I totally forgot about. It wasn't a good episode. The only thing I remember is they made Mark Zuckerberg like a dubbed karate fighter from an 80s action movie. Back to the game, you start things off by taking a shit. Wait, that's not right. Hold on, let me see. Huh, I guess that is right. Okay then. Then deal with your parents bitching at each other and start fighting in the Stick of Truth universe. Then join Coon and Friends. Get class, get your backstory of your dad fucking your mom, go out and help Super Craig and Human Kite, then go to Mosquito, fight the Raisin Girls, fill out your character sheet, go to the church, deal with the pedo priest, go to the school to identify your gender, and then deal with the hillbillies, fight the Freedom Pals, steal Timmy's phone, go back home and go to bed dealing with your parents fighting, sneak out and meet up with Captain Diabetes, fight a drunken Randy, sneak into the Peppermint Hippo, drug the DJ, get into a fight with the strippers, chase Classy into an Italian restaurant, fight the chefs, and then deal with Red Wine Drunk Randy, defeat him, and interrogate Classy. Okay, this is, oh my god, this is really long, and I'm not even a fourth done with the story yet. Get Classy a medication for her to talk, and then fight Sober Tally. Find out Professor Chaos is behind this. Fight Human Kite from an alternate universe and Kyle's mom. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going into detail anymore. I'm just going to speed through this with fucking bullet points. This is just fucking outrageous. Meet up with Call Girl. Fight Freedom Pals again. Team up with Toolshed later in the night as a favor of last night. Infiltrate Professor Chaos's lair. Defeat him. Try to join Freedom Pals as a spy. Fight Butters' dad because he's grounded Butters. Work for the cops and arrest innocent black people. Huh? Wait, what? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's been happening. It's been happening while in the story. I just forgot because there's too much shit. Calm down. Just deep breath, Seth. Join Freedom Pals and get Craig and Squeak back together. Invade the police office. Fight Jared from Subway. Fight a monster pit that only eats... fuck it, I'll just shoot it straight. Black people. Find out that Mitch Connor is behind this, who is running for mayor. By the way, Mitch Connor shoots Cartman Sam, but Civil War 3, everyone joins Freedom Pals. Wake up the next morning with your parents being kidnapped by Mitch Connor. Find Cartman and fight him. Interrogate him. Go to the genetics lab. Fight mutated cats and sixth graders. Either kill your mom or dad. I went with dad in this case. Fight mutated kite from another universe. Accidentally go ahead in time with your fart. Fight the woodland critters with Santa Claus. Go back in time to the beginning of this game and fight the Stick of Truth characters. Go back in time and reveal your true backstory. Go to the present and stop Mitch Connor from being mayor. Fight Cartman and Kyle who claim that Mitch Connor is real and is not making them talk. Have Cartman and make Kyle admit he's lying. Have Mitch Connor die from fighting his mother, and the game just ends. Jesus Christ, that felt like it took forever. I feel like the story was just way too long. I feel like that the Stick of Truth had a perfect length. With the Fractured Butthole, it just felt like it dragged on. It feels like you're about to be at the final battle with the genetics lab, but it keeps going on and on. I think every night mission felt that way, with the only one not feeling like it overstayed its welcome was the Professor Chaos level. Another criticism about this game is it feels like they're trying to do too many things at once. I tried to rush through the story, which felt like it lasted for not that Fortnite, the turn! I tried to rush through it and I missed a whole lot of details, with some being very important. Hell, there's details out there in plain open that I missed because I was focused on something else that happened. And to go through that and to have the game end the way it did, it just gave me a bad taste in my mouth. Also, a lot of things felt downgraded in this game. The summons this time around don't feel as special and unique like the last game. Hell, you get half of them through the main story instead of every one of them being a side quest like the last game. The side quest also isn't as good as well. They just feel like they're hindering the game instead of expanding it. Now, not everything is bad. Like I said, I like the new grid combat system, which adds more strategy into the game, instead of choosing an attack because of how much PP you have. I also love the variety of attacks and heals. The buddy system was an upgrade from the last game, and I like how they added forts into it this time around. One thing I did not like as well this time was the dark humor. This time around, I felt like they were trying to go for more edgy jokes, like Jared from Subway, the cops being racist, getting high from cat piss, etc. Even the childish jokes don't hit, like adding butts to living organisms, and the overused dad fucking your mom backstory. Overall, the game just did not live up to the hype, and to be honest, it had no chance. The Stick of Truth felt perfect in every aspect, from jokes, to story, to combat, to the subtle details and nuances that this game had. It didn't stand a chance when it launched, and I think delaying it didn't help it much either. Now, comparing it to other licensed games that came around this time, this is leagues better. Hell, it's better than most of the ones that came out in the 2000s. South Park, The Stick of Truth, and The Fractured Butthole were very pleasant surprises in what is a dark spot for the licensed video game market. These were licensed games that had a whole lot of care put into them. They delayed these games to try to make them as perfect as they could. Not everything could be a home run, but it showed how much work Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and the development team put into them. These games were first looked at as cash grabs, but ended up being nominated and winning Game of the Year awards. And I think this has started the rise in quality of licensed video games in general. Now, there's still trash out there like Nickelodeon and Warner Brothers Smash ripoffs, but there have been more gems, with PlayStation making Game of the Year candidates with Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And in 2023, Spider-Man 2 is coming out with Tony frickin' Todd playing Venom. And THQ, now THQ Nordic, remastering one of their best games, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and then making a new sequel that feels true to the 7th generation of releases with SpongeBob The Cosmic Shake. Now, am I saying every game is going to be at least okay? No, far from it. But I think there is care put into some games. And I think that can help the video game industry grow more with casuals. And I must thank South Park Games for that. But that being said...
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Wow, what a dick.